the number one thing that I get asked day in, day out, and you can bet with what's going on in Oroville. By the way, Oroville means City of Gold. And one of our listeners just sent us an email saying, do you think the dam breaking in Oroville, is the dam breaking in Oroville a prophetic sign of the price control in gold breaking? I don't know if you've ever heard that, Ross. I never put that together until this listener sent it to me, and I use his name, but I don't have it, permission to use it. So the most important thing right now that I'm getting asked, and I'm sure you can ditto this, is that where do I go? Look, I'm not a billionaire, I'm not a millionaire. I can maybe, sell my house, get some equity, but people want two things. They want a safer place than they currently exist, and they want a place with like-minded believers. Now, I'm going to ask Roth. Now, I want to make this clear. I have no financial interest in what I'm going to say. MyOzarkHomestead.com. I talked to the owner and the founder of that. I talked to Ross. I said, Ross, here is what I want to know, and Ross now is associated. Thank God they gave it over to somebody who understands the many complexities of this, because you can't. I'll tell you one thing. Any group that gets together on the basis of a common threat without being drawn together and having the whole greater, the concern for everyone greater than the self-concern is going to fail. So when Ross said, Steve, let me tell you about this deal. It's called MyOzarkHomestead.com. Now, I want you to share, Ross, with the people of what they've done there and what you're doing to try and help along the way, because there's no place I know of in the country where for an amazingly, and I mean an amazing low price, you've been there, you know this for real. Share everything you feel like you want to share about MyOzarkHomestead.com, because you know what, brother? You are saving me answering too many emails, and I'm not going to do it. I cannot answer every email. They all start out like this. I know you're very busy and your time is important, but, and I'm not making fun of anybody. Please, ladies and gentlemen, listen to Doug's show. Listen to all the guests. Make a list. Get a notebook and start doing this stuff. Share about MyOzarkHomestead.com, Ross Powell, if you would, because I have never seen, and I've been in this. I used to be around people that built $1 million bunkers. I built probably 2 or 3 of them. I didn't build them. I had them built for me, and I do not currently have one, for the record, over the years. And the deal is that the average guy, just for a family of 4, if he does it right with everything, you're looking at easily $50,000 in the best case scenario, depending on your concrete thickness, depending on your air filtration, depending on your blast over valves. These are overpressure valves, depending on what form of radiation monitor and detecting equipment you're using. Obviously, if you're outside is hot, you want to be inside with a remote. So please, just take it, Ross. This is important because people, I don't know how many total units they have available, but I can tell you this. You may find that this is a very affordable alternative, and it never hurts to have a backup plan. Go ahead, Ross. I'll just be quiet and let you go for it.
Sure. Thanks, Steve. Thank you. And I got involved in this from one of my clients who was a 401k customer. He called me and told me all about it. I had to go see for it myself, and I went out to Missouri, and it's in the Ozarks in Crawford County, Missouri. Those of you who may know where that area is. It's about 2 hours north of Branson and about 90 minutes from St. Louis, so we're in between, but it's in the middle of what I would call it the water capital of the world. There's springs sprouting everywhere, and it's where the Ozark of water comes from. But I went up there, and I saw what Jeff was doing, and I just came back from Friday. I spent another 3 days there. They hired me to be their, hired gun to be their CEO, to take over the reins and make it business-like and get them, because there's such an overwhelming response that they need somebody to organize it and get them moving. There's about 80 spots on this particular property of 200 acres, and each person can get into a home with a lot of 90 by 90, like you have in the suburbs, a cabin ranging from 16 by 24, which is about 384 square feet, all the way up to 48 by 48. But generally speaking, the largest we try to go to is 24 by 40. But you can get into this for the less than the price of a new Ford SUV. Under $50,000, you get a bunker, you get a lot, you get a cabin with electricity and indoor plumbing, sewage, water. You can get internet, you can get televisions, you can get cable, you can get anything, everything you have, but except you're going to be in a self-sustaining farm. There will be aquaponics. There'll be ground having crops on the ground, but also greenhouses for the winter, livestock, hogs, chickens, goats, things of that nature. But a bunker underground, this first one's going to hold 48 people, but it's going to have an air system that's going to be pushing 1,000 cubic feet per minute. And I talked to Steve about that, and he said that's what you need. So you're going to have all the things that you're going to need in order to be underground. But the difference between this place, my Ozark homestead, and all those really high, expensive ones that are in missile silos, once the roof comes off again and you're out and you can be out, those people have no way to raise any food. They have nothing. We have a complete farm that will get you there, and like-minded people that all have to be approved with criminal background checks. Most all will be Christians. They're all like-minded people, and so you all have to go through a process to get it to be allowed to come on board. And there's like 80 plots. Well, there's like probably less than. There's probably 60 plots left, even including the second phase. And we're looking at expanding to another 550 acres because the response has been so great. So I can't tell you, because this is taken a lot of my time within my business before 401k. So it's huge. So I've been out there. I've seen they're building the lake with lakefront properties. They're digging the bunker. The roads are in. There's cabins being up. 6 more buildings are starting this week. So, and then we have a litany of people still standing in line trying to get there. So our phones are ringing off the hook. There's a phone number on Steve's site, but I would recommend that you actually go to the website and hit the contact page, because you're going to get in line, because there's so many people calling that if you're interested in doing something like this, you need to get there. And Steve, you're right. The question that people ask, where can I go in the event of a catastrophe? How am I going to get to where I'm going? I bought 20 acres, and how am I going to man that? If you have 168 hours of time every week, if you have 20 acres by yourself, with you and your wife and 3 kids, how can you protect that? You can't. And how are you going to find a doctor? How are you going to get a dentist? How are you going to get a school teacher? All those things are all part of my Ozark homestead. We have ex-cops, ex-New York detectives, military people. I have a surgeon. I have an anesthesiologist, 2 of them, a nurse practitioner, school teachers. Anybody and everybody. Even got a guy that's interested. His name is Tim. He's the sewage treatment guy that's been around big cities that could actually maybe coming on board as well. So God is bringing, when I always talk about mustering a remnant, God is bringing a bunch of people from all over the country. They're not just from Missouri, they're from Ohio and New York and Virginia, 2 from Florida already. We have people, 3 from California, 2 from Texas, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana. All these people are coming in from all these different walks of life, and from every rank and file of the economic strata are coming in here, and God is moving them and petition. You would see the emails I get of people saying, I've been looking for this as an answer to prayer. I've been called to do this. Well, how do I get there? So it's just amazing how God is moving on this, and the fact that He just kind of pushed me and they hired me to do this. I'm just dumbfounded, because it's bigger than all of us. I mean, the founder feels like Moses, and I feel like Aaron someday. It's craziness on how these things are working. But God, sometimes when He moves in big ways, and the Spirit is moving in the Ozarks. So I think
phenomenal. It's fair to say. Yeah, let me interrupt you. Ladies and gentlemen, when I put the banner up on my site, I wanted to know how much interest there was, okay? And I believe that I called Ross, within a week, however many days, it was less than a week, and you told me you had 1,789 responses. Is that correct?
Well, our hits on our website went up quadrupled in less than 3 days.
Right. So, okay, that was the time frame. Now, why am I saying this? Okay. Hey, when I first went in the survival business, I'm not telling old guy stories. I'm just giving the bottom line. I love the bottom line. We'll work backwards. There is no place I know that provides underground facilities. What you guys are providing for everyone, I mean, it's basically a community, a place to live. All of the specialties. When you got a surgeon, anesthesiologist, licensed practical nurses, RNs, when you've got the caliber of people, and I won't I'll let a little bit of the cat out of the bag. My position is, what do you want to put cats in a bag for? Tell everybody up front, and let them decide. But there are some incredibly gifted and brilliant men of, how do I say this, scientific renown. Because, listen, no man is an island unto himself. The Bible says if we walk in the light as He is in the light and have fellowship one with another, then the blood of Jesus cleanses us from all our sins. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't mean the blood of Jesus needs fellowship, but you need fellowship. I need fellowship. And the number one, I would say this, malady that's attacking Christians that respond to me on my email is loneliness and isolation. Now, I'm not talking about isolation. They all live in the outback of Australia, though I got emails from those guys that come into town once a week and email me. But the point is that isolation, people who love the Lord with all their heart want to be around with other people, so there is community. By the way, God is our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be his name. He wants his family back. He sent his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, to bring his family back. And as one native, listen, here's a true story, and this will illustrate this. A native, a former cannibal headhunter, was won to Jesus by the simple presentation of the gospel that God is the Father of all and he wants his family back. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, from one day to another, unless Ross tells me how many our units are available. But here's the deal. There is no place. I would challenge anybody with the price of concrete, unless you're a do-it-yourselfer and all your labor can be done, and then to have the time to do it, to concentrate, because a good safe air system minimum is going to cost you $5,000. When you're dealing with large shelter capacity, obviously there are ways to build stuff, so you have to pay the commercial prices. But the LUVA, L-U-W-A filter systems are world renowned. But those things for a shelter of 100 people cost about $100,000. So you can usually figure $1,000 to $1,500 per person per shelter for air filtration and exchange. So Ross, again, I think people should really understand that. Now, I want you to, if you will, go into detail too in the closing 15 minutes of clearoutmyozarkhomestead.com, and let's tell people what's going on. How can the market sustain themselves? I'm asking about the gold and silver and the precious metals complex being so manipulated for so long. I get people saying, Steve, you post all these stories on your website from all these billionaires, and they're even wrong. Well, I got to tell you something. No matter how many billions you have, the people that print money can make even more billions than you have. So, Ross, will you just go ahead and clear out myozarkhomestead.com and then say whatever you want to say, give out whatever contact information. But because we've only got 15 minutes left, brother, this is talking about truth at the speed of light. What people can do to look out for what's going on, because the market's going to crash. You're going to blame it on Crunch. That's Trump and Crunch, and they're going to do everything they can to lay everything off on him that's already been put in place by all the communists inside our government and outside the government, and now the ones in the streets are being told to basically go out and kill Whitey. That's actually on an article on my site, and to kill Trump fans. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I've been in the preparedness business a long time. I used to be in the sporting goods business, guns, ammos, indoor shooting ranges, and so when I get information from ammo manufacturers and distributors that they are absolutely distributing, meaning they are selling truckloads to, listen to this, left-wing organizations, and if their money's good, I guess they got to take it. But the point is, hey, Ross, what you and I talked about earlier, hey, now the left wing gets it because they're going to originate it, and everybody who is a prepper for the right reason seems to go to sleep. So you want to address that and then say whatever you want to say about myozarkhomestead.com?
Sure. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I started at the start of the show, I talked about they're creating fight clubs and for the left, and they're teaching how to fight. They're learning how to shoot. They're preparing what they call the Trumpocalypse, and they're over, because like I said before, they're not going to stop until you stop them. And I'm all big into stopping them in the legal way. I hope to God it never comes to a civil war, but that's what they're looking for. And you have the leftists and you have treasonous people inside our State Department, and most recently, the Muslim Brotherhood spies who were inside the State Department, people that were technology guys that had access to all the secret data of the foreign service, and also these special operations. And that last one that failed in Yemen, or it actually succeeded at a certain level. But if you talk to the people that were actually in there, they were ready for them, waiting for them. And the folks that actually had the data that were actually Muslim Brotherhood dupes, that were inside our IT groups of that special committee inside the Senate. So they knew what's exactly going on. Those people have been fired. Tillerson's come through and laid waste to the entire state market. He's whacking all kinds of folks that are left leaning, and they're actually causing the sedition as well as being useful idiots. So all of that's coming, and it gets to the bottom line here, and is that do you feel safe where you are? Do you think things are getting better? Do you think that the government is running better? Do you think your neighborhood is better? Or is the job market better? You have more money in your savings account? Your credit card's lower? Is anything changed since November 8th? And I would be glad to have an email to tell me, yes, sure it has. That's great. I would love to hear from you because that would be a great thing. But most people I talk to, it's not that way. So if you are constantly worrying about what your neighbor said, I take my dogs for a walk and I see, here in Texas, I hear I see Hillary signs in the yards and people are still raising hell about it. You can't talk about it in the grocery store. People raising hell with it, giving you dirty looks. Somebody actually, one kid, and this is a true story, 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in a restaurant talking with my wife over just having some lunch, and some kid comes up and says, I heard what you're talking about your temper. Would you why don't your generation just die off? And I told him, I looked at him and said, well, I'll go today if you don't mind, I'll take you with me. And then they backed off and thought I was crazy and all that, but it was just being smug about it. But I just the audacity of somebody come up and say, why don't you just die so that we don't have to deal with your opinion any longer? So the freedom of speech.
Ross, I admire your extreme self-control, and I'm glad you didn't offer him the alternative and saying you first and send him to his great reward. I do admire you for doing that, but I thought it was a classic answer to a total ass.
Right. I mean, I have a concealed carry one, and I was carrying that day. Took every action not to feel threatened and brandish it, but then I didn't want to go to jail. But I said, I'll go today if you don't mind me taking you with you. And he just, the look on his face was, I can't believe you said that. That's totally rude. Like he wasn't rude to me. So anyway, I'm sure others out there have probably witnessed that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, and I'll close out with, and we're getting close, my Ozark Homestead is a place where Christians can come and be a remnant community. There's about 60 lots left, probably 200-300 people total are going to be there. Sustainable farming, a bunker below ground, plenty of all the water you can drink. And right now you'll have, while the grid is still up, you'll have every comfort that you have in the city. The only difference is you're going to live in a smaller house, you're going to live a more simple life. You try not to be on the internet all the time. Get out there and know your friends. Get off of social media. Get in there and meet people and make friendships, because the time is going to be coming where you're going to need to know who is sitting next to you. There are no atheists in foxholes. That's an old saying. But there are no strangers in battle either. Either you trust that person next to you, not going to stab you in the back like folks in our government are doing. Our ex-president is actually stabbing America in the back, Trump in the back. So we are ripe for revolution. And if you're not safe where you are today, then if you can't come to the Ozarks and you can't get there or you can't afford it, you need to find a mutual assistance group. You need to find people like-minded and find people that have the skills that you need. Medical, dental, whole health, essential oils, natural remedies, all of those things you're going to need to survive, because if the grid goes down, and it will during this period, because if we start to get full-scale battle and they fire their first shot and people start getting killed when they're already shooting cops, and you have that thin blue line still holding us all apart. But if that thin blue line fails, and God bless them that are doing that job, but if that fails, it's going to be anarchy, and the government's going to have a hell of a time bringing everything back to order. So commerce will stop, jobs will be lost, trucks will stop running, food will be short. So you need to make sure you have food, water, weapons, ammo, a place to go, or a group of people to band together that can help each other. Because if you live in a gated community, that's not going to help you. So you need to make sure you know your neighbors, and many people don't even know the neighbors. They wave at them when they drive their car into the garage. Get out and know people. Do a little intel gathering. Find out what people are doing in your neighborhood, who you're going to be dealing with. Are you a red dot in a blue zone? Because if you are, you may be up in deep trouble, and you may need to find a way to get out and find people that you're more like-minded. So my Ozark Homestead is a great place to come. If you want to contact us, you can reach us on our website, myozarkhomestead.com. And one thing my customers already know, you can use your 401k money either to use it as an investment property. It's not that far from Branson, so you could use it as a potential to rent it out and have people go and live on a sustainable farm. You could have your eco tourism. there's all kinds of trees and animals, and there'll be a lake with fishing and all this kind of stuff. Or at the same time, or you could use it as a place to go, take a loan against your 401k and buy this property, and you could use it as a full-time residence or as a weekend retreat, whatever you want to do, but you can protect you and yours and be amongst a bunch of people that are all professionals. In fact, to your point, Steve, earlier, we have a rocket scientist, what I call him a rocket scientist. His name is TJ, and he's coming on board with us, and he works for NASA. He's built some of the biggest things for NASA in the rocket. So we have a real rocket scientist, jet propulsion lab, all of those things. We have really bright people coming. God is moving his remnant in a big way, and it's starting in the Ozarks. And so I would recommend people check us out, make a phone call. We'll schedule some time to talk to our sales staff to make sure this is a good fit for you. Then we can have an application put in and then run your background check. And you have come on to the property and take a look around and see if this is where you want to be. So once this fills up, we're moving to another location in the Ozarks first, but I've had interest in Tennessee, in Wisconsin, in Texas. So we may be coming to a town near you, but right now we're working on our prototype, and it's going to be the flagship going forward. So there's just a lot of stuff going on, Steve. I don't know where to start anymore because I wake up every morning, I check my tablet when I first wake up thinking, what did the world end today? Because I'm expecting every morning for something, either something happened to the president, something happened to one of his cabinet members, or war. And because there's pushing for war with Russia, China, North Korea, Iran. There's hawks trying to push war again. And this time it's not going to be just men going, it's going to be men. Your sons and daughters are going to go to fight a war that we don't need to fight. So just
right,
prepare
and you can't
for that.
do that with hey, Ross, you were in the military. You can't do that with only 35% of your airborne assets able to fly. No ammo yet. Remember when DHS had all their billions to buy billions of rounds of ammunition and weapon and everything? Ladies and gentlemen, that was always for an internal civil war force that would be brought in ahead of time, i.e. Unvetted immigration and released to the arms will be released to them. It's all being orchestrated from a few blocks away from the White House. And I want to say this, okay? Lord, help me to say it right, and I'm serious. What you think isn't coming your way will show up on your porch when you're not prepared for it. And I think this is really a critical time to consider this. Also, I want to make a statement. I've been in the food preparedness business off and on for, since I've been in the survival business. And if 1,000 people, and for the record, it is slow, it is dead. It's like everybody turned off the prep movement. Guess who's buying the food now?